Good afternoon, guys. So now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the distance formula. All right. So distance formula, we use this if you're ever given coordinates, points, and you're being asked to find the distance between them. Remember that another word for distance could be length, right? Find the length between these 2 points, find the distance between the 2 points. Anytime distance is implied and you're given coordinates, you will ultimately use the distance formula. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's say they gave you 2 points. Okay. Let's go and talk about that example they gave us on the midpoint one. So let's say this is it, and they're asking us to find the distance between the 2 points. Well, again, first, if the coordinates are not given, we gotta read them. We already said that one of the points was -5 and 3. This point right here, this is the one that's -5 because, right here on the x value, that's -5, and I go this way, that's 3. My other point, which is this one over here, is -2 and -3. By the way, guys, it does not matter, okay, I repeat, it does not matter which point you write down first. And because it doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter how you label them. But just get in the habit of whatever's on the left, let that be your first ones, right? So let that be x1, and so this has to be y1. x2, so y2. All right, so again, we're following the 3 simple steps from the midpoint. It's exactly the same thing. First step, label, done. Now that I have labeled, now I have to substitute into the formula. So my formula here is the square root. This will ultimately give me the distance. That's why we say, the little d stands for distance, right? And whatever I get, that's going to represent my distance. You're always going to have here parentheses, squared. The only thing that changes are the values inside. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, so again, it starts off with x2, and x2 is -2. It's x2 minus x1. You might be noticing these double negatives here, and that for some of you guys, that's already like, oh no, I'll get to that in a bit. First, just focus on being able to substitute. We'll go back right now and deal with these double negatives. Next up, we have a y2, that's -3, minus y1. y1 is +3. All right, so once we have substituted, now the next step is to evaluate. Here's where you start looking for, things like this, a minus, a negative. So in this scenario, this minus a negative just becomes positive, okay? Think about it. You have a minus and then a -5. It's like you're adding 5 to it. You can't take away something negative anymore. All right. So -2 plus 5, that's +3. And normally, by the way, in class, to make things go faster, I would just have you guys plug that in your calculator. In a little bit, I will show you how to do it by hand in the event that was required, but watch. You would open up your square root, -2, right? We already said it became a +5. We're squaring that, plus -3 minus 3 squared. We press enter, and that's the distance here. So I know that at the very, very end, my distance will be 6.7. Okay? I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to do it by hand. Again, notice how once we plug in, calculator, you're done. But to finish it up by hand, -2 plus 5, again, that's 3. -3 minus 3, that's -6. And all of this is being squared. 3 squared is 9. Negative 6 squared is just 36. Something very interesting here, guys, is it doesn't really matter what sign you have inside. When you square it, it's going to be positive in the end, no matter what. So we're trying to find out what the square root of 45 is. Now 45 is not a perfect square, okay? And at that point, again, I would just suggest square root 45, and you still get that 6.7. There'll be on some assignments where you're asked to prime factorize. I'll do a video on that later. But for now, this is just straight up how you use the distance formula. Okay, you notice how at the first, I had my points, I labeled them, then I plugged them in. If anything, I just do the work by hand until I can no longer go any further. Then I use my calculator. And they'll give you problems sometimes with on the graph. Sometimes they'll give them to you just like that, but they all follow the same idea. You get the points, you label, you plug in, and you'll be done.